Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, we're going to be talking about transit moon, sextile, or trine one's natal Neptune. Now, this transit may manifest in feelings, emotions, needs, reactions, responses, the family. This could be more in harmony with your dreams. You may feel more like pursuing your dreams, be more in that mood to do so, have the right emotional state to do this. Now, keep in mind though, this transit only lasts for about 10 hours roughly on average. If you're using a 3-degree applying aspect and 2-degree separation aspect. So it may be important to capitalize on this energy when it's here. And it can be a time where you might actually be sleeping during this time because it is 10 hours, and it might, a lot of this, of course, is predicated on your own schedule, what time zone you're in when this transit takes place. But anyway, again, you might feel more like pursuing your dreams at this time, and what you fantasize about doing. If you have the natal Neptune, say if it's in Sagittarius, it could be a being, dream or fantasy of being a sports athlete or doing something with religion or theology, or could be translation or college teaching, publishing as some examples. This is also about, Neptune is about our ideals. And this is where you might feel more at this time, well, not just feel the family and people you're close to home with, people that are, women that are prominent in your life may feel more, more in agreement. They may be more in agreement with what you feel. What are your ideals right now? Is it ideal? I mean, natal Neptune is in Capricorn. It could be something business, career related, working in information technology. What are the ideas? Having, just having, a good career, attaining a stature in life, having social status, getting certain recognition. Um, and Neptune is about inspiration as well. So this could be about a time where you may simply be more inspired to do things that are home, family related at this time. Your home and family members, they may fuel your inspiration to do certain things at this time more so than usual. You may feel more inspired to do things at this point in time. And this could simply be, pursuing, again, your dreams, your fantasies at this time. What as far as being inspired, if you have your natal Neptune in the fifth house, it could be pursuing. If you don't have a love relationship and you're looking for that elusive love, maybe this is the time where you might feel more inspired to do so, more so than usual. Now, anatomically speaking, Neptune is connected with the feet, the toes, the lymphatic, and the immune system. And this is a time where if you are experiencing any of these issues that I just described that are anatomically connected with Neptune, well, it can be a time where you may be more in the mood to do things, to take care of these issues at this time. If there's anything that could be done through rehab, or you may need to go see a physician, or if surgery is imminent, those are things where you might just simply feel more like doing at this point in time, more so than you ordinarily would. And the thing too is, Neptune, it's also a better time as far as your food assimilation, I would say, and less chance of any adverse any chemicals that you know might be affecting what you're, as far as what you're eating, or if you're somebody that's might be, because Neptune can be very nebulous or unclear. If you have, like, say, for example, if you have this in an adverse aspect, let's say, for example, if the transit moon was making an adverse aspect to your natal Neptune, there might be some difficulty, with the food process, or something could happen where there's, some kind of chemical. There might be somewhere in the food that might cause some problems. The stomach. The moon is connected with the stomach. It's associated with food. It could be some kind of poisoning as an example, like food poisoning is what I'm saying. So there's less likelihood, even though this is a very quick transit, very succinct, very quick transit, it still is a better chance where you're not as likely to have those issues. Now, anyway, another thing about Neptune is also about sleep and lethargy. So this is a time where you might feel, I mean, you have Moon is connected with the unconscious. Neptune is about sleep. If this is a time where uh, if you are sleeping during this time, I would say it could be a better opportunity to actually sleep with less disruptions or diversions, or just somebody interrupting your sleep. Whether it could be a family member in the home, or it could be a neighbor making their racket, making their noise. It can also be a time too where you may feel this is a good time, I would say, for relaxation in the home, or meditation or spirituality in the home as well. These are things that you might that might be favorable for that at this time. So anyway, another thing is that when you have this transit, I mean, Neptune is also about dissolving and dissipation. So this could be a time um, when you have this transit. If there's something that you need to dissolve, you need to quote dissipate and dissolve, you may feel more like doing so at this time. And home family members may be more supportive of this than usual. If you have, say, your natal Neptune in the 7th house, it could be a marriage. Maybe that isn't working out. It could be a relationship. It could be a situation with a legal opponent or open adversary. If it's a legal opponent, it might be trying to dissolve the issue, somehow finding some kind of reconciliation or what have you. And also, too, keep in mind, Neptune is also about it's alcohol and drugs. It's related to that. So if it's a time, if you're trying to say end something connected with that, as an example, you might feel more like maybe more in the mood at this time to be doing that more so than usual. But on another note, though, keep in mind that, I mean, sextiles and trines can be, are auspicious. But I believe, too, in some cases it can make the energy flow easier, even if it's something negative that might be done. I mean, let's say, if somebody's having this transit and they are, habitual, if there's a drug user, or they're out, they're consistently drinking, they're chronic, they're alcoholic, or somebody that's a habitual drinker, it might make the energy flow a little bit easier, I would think, in some instances. But I think, mainly it's a time where, somebody is like a social drinker, for example. It can be something where, the stomach has a better chance of actually assimilating it better and having less of a potential negative response to that liquor at this time. But anyway, another thing too is that, the thing about Neptune, it's also about deception and duplicity. So it's a time where, if you're dealing with something deceptive or duplicitous in your life at this time, this is a time where you may feel more, able to respond to it, and respond to it in a way where, you don't face great repercussions, where it's not an over-the-top emotional response, where you're not overly acerbic. It's a time which could be positive for doing so. If there's somebody that's been very deceptive or duplicitous, this could be the time. If you go, like say, if you're on social media and you went public with it, maybe it would be less, backlash or at this time, or it would be more favorable to do so. If it's somebody that you think is, for example, running a fraud or running some kind of scam, this could be a time where it may be more beneficial to let, if it's something, to let the public know, I would think, at this time. So anyway, now another thing too is Neptune is about escapism. So it might be a time where you may feel more like doing something, being able to do so without hindrance. I mean, if you're just basically you're just trying to find some time to meditate, or you're trying to isolate yourself and just be by yourself for a little bit, go. Um, if you're favoring solitude or seclusion, this could be a positive time to be able to do so, and with the, less criticism from others, and people not complaining that you're hiding or anything like that, less derogatory remarks connected with it. Hold on a moment, people. Neptune is also about sacrificing. So it might be a time where you're maybe more apt to sacrificing for your home, for your family, um, at this point in time, and really and feel more like doing so at this time, more so than usual. And the thing about this too is Neptune is about surrender, and it's connected with forgiveness. And this could very well be a time where you could respond to something, whether it might be you might see it as someone else's ignorance, whatever it might be, that's negative, by forgiveness, and be able to do so. And it could be a favorable and auspicious time for doing that. I mean, when I say surrender, I'm not saying to the you're surrendering to the police during this transit. I'm saying that just about basically forgiveness, or just giving in. And some people don't want to do that because they don't want to be perceived as overly weak or passive. But the thing is, this could be a time where you might just simply feel more like doing that, more so than usual. And in Neptune related things could be more tied in with what you need at this time, and it might be a time where you're able to express that at this time, whether it has to do with it could be some of the metaphysical, which includes astrology or poetry or dancing or photography, as some examples. Now this could be a time where you may feel, which is the moon, more inspired to do things. Now, let's say, for example, if the natal Neptune is in Aquarius in the 12th house, it could be something with computers or tech labs, which is Aquarius, for the less fortunate, which is the 12th house. Now, also, too, this transit may be expressed in the mother and family, which is the moon, may favor your dreams, may be more in favor of those dreams and fantasies, which is Neptune. Now, let's say, for example, if the natal Neptune is in Sagittarius in the 3rd house, it could be doing something with sports, which is Sagittarius. It could be broadcasting, communicating, writing, which is the 3rd house. Now, also, too, this transit can be auspicious to respond, which is the moon, again, to something deceptive or duplicitous, which is Neptune. If the natal Neptune is in Scorpio in the 11th house, it could be doing something with credit card, which is Scorpio, fraud, which is Neptune. It could be by a friend, which is the 11th house. Now, it might be a time too where you more likely are going to easily or readily express your feelings, which is the moon. And it could be regarding your ideals, which is Neptune. Now, let's say, for example, if the natal Neptune is in Capricorn in the 4th house, it could be gaining structure and discipline, which is Capricorn, in your home life, and also planning for the latter part of life if you're not currently in it. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard, Science, stay well.